Hi, welcome. I'm JC from Teen Truth, and thanks so much for joining us here today. I'm really excited to talk to you about how we can build school culture and improve mental health and empower student voice during the COVID crisis. For those of you that don't know me or don't know about Teen Truth, we were founded many years back after the Columbine tragedy. We really felt that during Columbine that no one was giving kids a voice around the issue. And obviously, not necessarily similar to COVID, but like COVID, the nation was affected by the Columbine tragedy. And we really felt that we, as young filmmakers, had to do something about it. And so we ended up recruiting 5 students to carry cameras for us for an entire school year. And we made a film called Teen Truth. The film actually premiered in 2006. It was one of the first kind of big anti-bully films of the time, broke records for our distributor and did very well. And because of that success, we got really fired up and passionate about giving students a voice and allowing them the platform to talk about the issues that they're going through. We went on to make a film on drugs and alcohol abuse. We made a 3rd film on body image and self-esteem, and we actually made a 4th film on parenting and family communication. So yes, we gave kids cameras to tell families how to be better families and tell parents how to be better parents. And everything that we've been doing at Teen Truth has been geared around giving students a voice. And now we visit schools, middle schools and high schools, doing assemblies and leadership summits and teacher trainings all around this idea of giving students a voice. And that's why I was so excited to talk to you today about how you can work to give your students a voice and work to empower their voice during the COVID crisis. One of the things that I found as I started working with Teen Truth is that I never expected to be speaking in schools. I mean, my background is as a filmmaker. I went to school for marketing. I had one goal in life growing up, and that was work for Disney. All right, that's really all I cared about. And once Columbine happened and that event kind of changed my path, it's really what brought me here today to speak to you. And one of the things that I found in my work, and I quickly found this as a motivational speaker, is that I didn't really have the tools in my tool belt to be having these type of conversations with students. As you can imagine, working on the road with Teen Truth, I would meet students who were feeling bullied and feeling like they wanted to retaliate. I would meet students who were thinking of suicide or were engaging in self-harm and really struggling, processing through some of the feelings that they were going through. And as a motivational speaker, that didn't sit well with me. I mean, so many people are out there as motivational speakers, and I really feel they don't have the background or the credentials to sometimes be having these conversations. And so I put the brakes on everything and ended up applying to Texas State, moving out here to Austin, Texas, to get my master's in professional counseling. And now, after many years in school, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist working here in Austin and traveling across the country. And the reason why I want to talk to you today is because in my studies as a counselor and in my work with Teen Truth, I've seen that student resiliency is one of the most important attributes, assets, characteristics that we can instill into our students and build into our school culture. In fact, I took a lot of the experiences that I've had as a counselor and as someone working on the road with students and put them into a book called Building Resilient Students from the Inside Out. In this book, we talked about 5 keys to mental health that I think that are so important to help students overcome adversity, just like the adversity that we're facing right now with COVID. Some of these 5 keys to mental health include charismatic adults, developing true connections in our life. Yes, good old-fashioned face-to-face relationships. Letting students know that they're not alone in these pressures and helping them focus on solution-focused thinking. So often our students are very focused on the problem. They're not always focused on what that solution might be. And of course, the idea of self-efficacy. What do they believe to be true about themselves? Now, today we only have a little bit of time together, so I want to focus on 2 of these keys to mental health with you right now, because I think that they are extremely important and very valuable when we look at the current situation that we're in and the work that you might be doing with your students with regards to building school culture, helping to connect students, and helping to work students through the challenges that they're facing. One of the reasons I chose in the book to focus on charismatic adults is because there's a ton of research around it when it comes to resiliency. Right here, I want to introduce you to Dr. Robert Brooks. Dr. Brooks is an expert on student resiliency. He literally travels the world speaking on it. He has researched it. He has dedicated his life to understanding resiliency, especially as it relates to students. And one of the things that Dr. Brooks found in his research is that the greatest factor in student resiliency, the number one reason that someone might be more resilient than someone else, is having a charismatic adult in their life. Someone in the student's life who can speak into their heart, talk to them at just the right time to help them work through that adversity or that tragedy or that challenge that they're going through. Some of these charismatic adults might be someone like a teacher in class. It might be a coach out on the field or on the court. It might be someone who works at the Boys and Girls Club or the local church, or a neighbor or a grandparent, but someone who is there when the student needs that person to listen to them, to understand what they're going through, and maybe speak into their heart at just the right time. You know, I'd like to invite you just for a moment. I know we're here on the internet, so we're not all together in a room. Normally when I work with educators, we get together, and I'm sure that's been one of the hardest things for us as educational leaders, right, is not being able to get together during this time of the COVID crisis. But I want to invite you just for a moment to take a moment and maybe just close your eyes. I'll do it with you. I want you to close your eyes right now and just think of maybe a charismatic adult from your life. You know, someone from your growing years, maybe middle school, high school, 5th grade, maybe even college, that just spoke into your heart during just the right time. They were there to hear what you're going through, and they were there to support you during that challenge. And now if you could just open your eyes with me. I'm wondering who came to mind for you. It might be a teacher, it might be a grandparent, it could be your mom or dad, it could be an aunt or an uncle or someone from church or your neighborhood. For me, the people that come to mind is Coach Medina and Coach Weller. These guys right here, they were my football coaches growing up in high school. And, I had a pretty good experience in high school. I was a student leader. I was very involved in school. I loved playing football and baseball, and had a really good relationship with my dad as well. My parents are great parents. They're teachers as well, just like you. And so I always had a good relationship with them. But there was something I found in high school to be true, is that there were certain things in life that maybe I was more comfortable talking to Coach Weller or Coach Medina about, as opposed to my mom or dad. And so in high school, they really became that sounding board for me as I was growing and changing and dealing with challenges. They were my charismatic adults. Now here's the deal, and the reason why I wanted to pull you together today in this video is because you are a charismatic adult for the students that you work with. We know that they are going through challenges right now. We've seen classes in school canceled. We've seen graduations canceled or delayed. We've seen weddings and funerals affected by COVID. We've seen the ability to come together with our friends and family affected by COVID. And so the opportunity that you have right now as a charismatic adult, I think, is a once in a lifetime opportunity for our students. This is like an amazing opportunity for us as educators. So often when we work with students, they are in the classroom. I work with them in an assembly. They are seated in their seats and they have to pay attention to us or they will face discipline and consequences, right? Well, right now we have a very unique opportunity where these students are not in those seats. They are home. They are living their life as individuals and they have choices that they can make. And one of the reasons I feel that mental health, a lot of the bullying, a lot of the lack of resiliency that we see in students is because of the lack of control that they feel they have over their life. I mean, think about their life. Since they were a little kid, when they fell on the ground, someone picked them up and asked them if they were going to be okay. And then they maybe told them what sports to play and what activities to be involved in. And then they went to school, they went to middle school, or maybe they got a teacher they didn't really like and they couldn't do anything about it. And they went to high school and they had to take classes they didn't really like and they couldn't really do anything about it. And they really never had maybe that sense of control and choice in their life. Well, right now, we have been given this amazing opportunity to give students a sense of control and a sense of choice in their life. I want to introduce you right now to one of the most powerful books that I've ever read as a parent, as a speaker, as a professional, and most importantly, as an educational leader. This book is called The Self-Driven Child. It's written by Dr. William Stixrud, sorry if I messed that up, and Ned Johnson. This book is amazing. And I want to share with you one of the concepts that they lay out in this book, the self-driven child. And that's the idea of the consultant model. That is what we're in right now. This is your opportunity as a charismatic adult to be that consultant for your students. Think about a consultant that maybe comes into your school, an educational consultant, or think about maybe friends that you have that are business consultants or sales consultants. They don't go into that company or that sales organization or come into your school and tell you what to do, right? That's something maybe a parent or a teacher or a coach is used to doing, but a consultant comes in and listens. They start to understand the landscape of what's going on. And they might offer advice, but they are really there to ask the critical questions to help their clients come to the best resolution possible. And so going a little bit further into this consultant model, I want to share with you the three types of students that we look at in this model. And so this is what William and Ned kind of laid out in the book. The first student that we're working with in this model is a student who is unconsciously incompetent. All right? They are unconsciously incompetent. This is the student that says, I'm fine. I don't need to blank, right? I don't need to study. I don't need to practice. I don't need to do what you're telling me. I got this. It's no problem. And then, as you know, being a teacher, they take the test, they play in the game, they fail, they screw it all up, and it was a lot harder than they thought. They were unconsciously incompetent. They were unable to succeed because they simply were not prepared. Now, going from step 1 to step 2, we can move students into the consciously incompetent category. So what is that? Well, that's the student that maybe you're working with that maybe they went to practice, they studied for the exam, they did the homework, and they thought that they had it all under control. They thought they had all the information mastered, but then they take the test, they play the game, they live life, and they're like, wow, that was a little harder than I thought. I wasn't as prepared as I thought I was. But at least that student is kind of aware of the fact that maybe they weren't prepared, right? But where do we want to move students to? And what is the opportunity for you right now? Well, this is step 3, right? Consciously competent. Consciously competent. This is the student that can say, I've done the work, I'm completely prepared, I've asked the questions, and I will be fine. I will be able to get through the test. I will be able to win the game. I will be able to complete the task because I believe that I've done the work. So this is where we're at right now. This is the gift that COVID has brought us. Are your students right now unconsciously incompetent, consciously incompetent, or are they consciously competent? They have the opportunity right now to solve solutions, especially when we look at student leaders. I mentioned earlier that I was a student leader on campus. I was heavily involved in student government growing up. As a speaker, I've visited schools and hosted countless leadership summits, and I've had the opportunity and the privilege to speak at leadership camps and leadership conferences all across the country. And I don't feel that every student leader is consciously competent in the decisions and opportunities and the things that they have laid in front of them. They may think they're a great leader and that they've done some of the work, but when the test comes, maybe they don't step in to make that impact or that change. Or when the test comes, they don't perform as the type of leader that they thought they would be. And so I believe another step that we really need to work with our students on, especially during this time, is being solution focused. All right, I don't know if you've heard this term before. It is not a term that I had heard until I went to Texas State and studied for professional counseling. But it is an entire model of counseling. And in fact, it is the model that I've adopted in my private practice and the counseling that I do. And so what does this model suggest is that when I have a client on my couch, when I am working with them through a virtual therapy session, whatever it might be, I want to understand their problem. I want to hear their problems. I want to feel their problems. I want to feel their pain. But what I want to do as a therapist is ask the questions to help them find solutions. And what I've noticed in therapy is when I get clients, as well as students, but when I get clients focused on solutions, when I get them working on that momentum and that energy, things start to change. They start to change quicker in therapy. I see clients get excited to come back to therapy. I love in therapy just to lead brainstorm sessions. In fact, that's exactly what we do when we host our leadership summits. And so I want to show you just a really quick video right here of some student leaders working in a solution-focused environment and coming up with solutions for the problems that their schools face. Check this out. The reason why you're invited here today is because we really want to hear from you. We want to know what's going on here on this campus. We cannot act with compassion today if we don't know what's going on.
All right, the first one we have here is expectations.
Mine is stress.
And there's anxiety where it feels like the world is crumbling away from you.
Like, no matter what's going on, you shouldn't have to feel just sad all the time.
We're going to get back into our groups and we're going to brainstorm on the activities that we can do to alleviate your top 3 challenges. This is where the work gets done.
So we had the idea of an activities fair.
Everybody writes messages and hides them around the school.
You walk around the cafeteria during lunch, tell 3 people a compliment.
These are the ideas that you've come up with to solve these issues on campus. This is what student leadership is about. Now, I know that was a short video of students working on issues on campus, which we know during the COVID crisis is not happening right now, but that doesn't mean these social and emotional issues don't exist. That doesn't mean that there's not a new host of problems that your student leaders can attack. So what I would like to invite you to do is that activity with your students. As a charismatic adult, I would like you to use the consultant model that we just went over and put your students in a position to do some solution-focused thinking. Get on a Zoom call, get on a video call, whatever it is, put a whiteboard behind you, draw a line down the middle of the board and say, all right, your student leaders, what are the problems here? What's going on? What are students going through? What's affecting our school culture right now? What's affecting resiliency? What's affecting mental health? Let's hear the problems. Let's lay them all out. And now, let's talk for the next 20 or 30 minutes on solutions. Let's fill up the other side of the board with solutions that we can do right now. Can we reach out to students via social media? Can we make phone calls? Can we make signs for students to put in their yards? What can we do as student leaders? What can we do to help build school culture during this time? Through technology, through not obviously like face-to-face communication, but maybe stopping by someone's house. I saw a principal on Facebook that was stopping by all the houses of the seniors. And it was a picture of him like at the end of the driveway talking to a senior who was standing on her porch. But that principal was going out of his way to understand the pain that that senior was feeling and everything that she was going through, and saying, hey, as your principal, as your educator, as a leader, I'm here to hear you. I'm here to support you. I'm here to kind of spend this time with you at the end of your senior year. Your students can be doing similar things. They need to follow the rules and regulations that your county and your city and your states have put out, but they can think outside the box. This is what solution-focused thinking is all about. And this is why this COVID crisis could be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for your students to become consciously competent leaders. And so if you found this information valuable, I want you to know that here at Teen Truth, we are rooting for you, and we want to support you in any way that we can. I want to offer you two things as we close here. One, if you want your student leaders to go deeper into this conversation, we have launched a free virtual assembly program. If you visit teentruth.net/365, you will find assemblies there on mental health, student leadership, as well as social media. These are free virtual assemblies that you can have your students watch. And if you're interested, you can actually book our speakers to lead that type of brainstorm or that type of interactive conversation with your students. So check out teentruth.net/365 if you want some free information there to help pull your students together. And lastly, as an educational leader, I want to support you as well. So I want to make something available to you. If you go to teentruth.net, you can look here on screen, teentruth.net/resilient students. All right, see that slash right there? teentruth.net/resilient students. You can download the first few chapters of my Resilient Students book. And these chapters, while I believe every chapter is important, but these chapters are the most important because they dig into this whole concept of charismatic adults. And as we know from Dr. Brooks's research, charismatic adults are the single greatest factor in building student resiliency. So this is my gift to you. Feel no obligation. It's just something I wanted to offer out to you to help you during this time. So teentruth.net/365 and teentruth.net/resilient students for more information on the book. Thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you so much for all you're doing. I know this is a hard and challenging time, but I really believe we're better together, and your students and your school culture is going to come out stronger on the other side.